Well, my name's Edith, and I come by taxi. And our first come on a pot bank, my mother always said she never wanted me to go on a pot bank because she was on one. And
I'm in shock, beg your pardon.
And my mother never wanted me to go on a pot bank. She said, like, you know, I don't think I'd like to do something a bit better than that. It's hard work and, you know, you've got all your dust and what have you. But anyway, my husband tailed up as he was made redundant. Well, he laid off from work because he was a joiner and he worked outside. So I thought, I can't go on with this. I've no money in my purse. Waiting for him, you know, get his money from the dole. And I caught the bus and I got off at the Ivy House. And when I got off at the Ivy House, well, I was going to Hanley first of all, and then I saw this pot bank and I thought, I'm getting off here. So I said to the driver, I'll get off here, please. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know what I'm going to say, or, you know. But anyway, when I got to the pot bank, the chap there said to me, can I help you? I said, yes, I've come after a job. And so he said, well, go down to the personnel, like, you know. Anyway, I went down and they asked me had I been on a pot bank before, and I said no. I said, I'm just desperate for money. You know, I need a job, like. So he said, well, I'll send for one of the managers, which was Mr. Parks. And he come in and he said, well, young lady, what can you do? And I said, I can't do anything on a pot bank. I've never been on before. And he says, well, with you being so honest and just saying, you know, as you've never done it before and you want a job, I'll find you one. He says, when can you start? I said, in the morning if I can. My husband was on night, so he was in bed where I'd gone down there. Anyway, when I got down, he said I was going to learn spraying, aerographing, I think they call it. And he sprayed the backs of the plates, and then he put them on boards. Anyway, I did that. Oh, when I got home, obviously, with my husband, I said to him, I'm working in the morning, you know, when you are. I said, I'm working because I've got no money and I've got this job on the pot bank. Anyway, I did this aerographing, like, you know, and I was pretty quick on doing them. And he came to me after I'd been there about 3 weeks, and he said, Edith, you know, he says, you're really working hard here. He says, in fact, you're doing really more than we need you to do. He says, and I don't think it's fair. You'll only still get the same money, which was £5 something. He says, so what I'm going to do, he says, I'm going to take you around the other side. He says, and I'm going to see what you think of dipping. Because when you've been there, he says, you go piecework. He says, and you'll earn your own money. And I think you deserve to where you work here. So that's how I started dipping. And used to dip the cups. By the way, we're dipping the cups. Well, they were like 6 boards either side. And you put 2.5 dozen on a board. And then you went from the bottom, worked yourself up. Then you turned the truck round and you did the same there. And when you filled it up, you pushed it along, say to over there. And then the placers took over then. They cleaned the bottoms and they put them on the trucks. And then from then I went on to Holloware. You know, the sugars and creams and, you know, teapots and things like that. But the men used to do that at one time. But anyway, the women started to do them, which was, of course, more money for me. It was great. And then I tailed up, I wanted another child anyway. And I was expecting my other child. And I worked there till I was 7 months pregnant. Now you can imagine, and the girls used to say, like, we found someone shooting along here one of these days. But then again, you didn't get the money like you did today. You know, when you get more money, you didn't get anything then like you did years ago. Anyway, the manager said to me, like, says, oh, Edith, will you come back? He says, just have a few months off and then come back. I said, no, I'm not coming back till my child starts school. And I've got one of my relatives that will fetch her from school, which I did do. Anyway, when I went back, he said, I haven't got a dipping job. would you like cranking? Well, that was like, you've got your 3 pins as you put in the, and put the top on, and you placed all the work in there until you done it, and put it on a big round table, and the places used to take it off, turn the revolving table, they used to take it off. And I did that until one of the girls finished on the dipping area, and then I went back into a tub, but I wasn't in the tub long. These tail up, they had machines in then, and on these machines, you were at one end and you dipped your wear and you turned and you put it onto a machine, and then at the other end of the dryer, because the dryers were on over 100 like, you know, and it used to go through there, and it was dry when it reached the other end. Then there was two girls, because there used to be 2 of us working either side. Then this girl used to pick your cups up off the because you had 4 in a row, and she cleaned the bottom, she did, and put them on boards. Well, the places used to do that, clean them, but when they weren't being on a machine, now the 2 girls at the end did them, and all the places did is get them out of these trays and hold them in their hand and place them on the trucks, sending them out. And that's how I come work on there. And then we used to do Holloway. Well, then you used to have it was like a leather ring, like here, leather, and you put it there and you got a hook on. And then they were heavy, you know, because they were like veg dishes. And then you sort of got your fingers there and you got your hook, and then you twisted them, you know, round like, and then gone round with your finger, and you placed them onto the machines. But that used to be a man's job and all, but of course the women did it themselves, like, you know.
So just to go, when did you first start working in the pottery factories?
I should say it was about 25 or 6. Yeah.
And how long have you worked on them?
Well, I should say about 28 years all told, because I retired when I was 58. But the reason I retired it was because Johnson's was shutting. Well, when Johnson's was shutting, so, of course they were going to be made redundant, but if they could get a job on my firm where I worked, they could come on there. Anyway, the manager, I said to him, I'd like redundancy, like, you know. And he said, I'm afraid not, Edith. He said, because, you know, you experience, you know, skill, like. Anyway, it come as the boss came and he said, Edith, I've got a chap, he says, who's off Johnson's, and he used to do the glaze, but occasionally, do the glaze for it. And he used to do a few cups occasionally, you know, nothing what it. He says, if you're learning and you can do it properly, then you can go. But otherwise, you know, you can't go. We need you. Anyway, the fellow was in his 30s and got a couple of kiddies, you know. And he says, I hope I can do this job. I said, well, you know, try and listen to what I'm saying, and now you shake them and everything, and turn them over and what have you. And then you can, you know, the job's yours. I won't leave. I'm going to get a bit of redundancy money as well, you know. So I'm getting benefits. He says, well, I need a job. I'm desperate. I've got to find a job because my wife doesn't go work. Anyway, with that, the lad, you know, within a 3-week, he'd learnt how to do the basic ones, you know. I mean, the others did the others time. And that's how come I finished work. And I was 58 then. But I was started to have trouble with me neck and my back. Although, like, I wasn't on the club or anything, but I think the twisting and turning, it was wear and tear, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. So kind of throughout those 28 years, tell me, there must have been something that you liked about working in.
I loved it. Like same as every year, I used to take my grandchildren to Blackpool for the illuminations. Now, when I went there, I always used to bring an outfit back for all of us, just the 4 of us. And they'd have like the hats with the lights, flashing lights on, like, you know. And then another year when I went, I brought these wigs, you know, and made a lipstick in black and what have you. That they used to say, like, every year, I wonder what they're going to do on the you know, the machine today, this year, like. But it was what I used to bring from Blackpool, anything for a laugh, you know. In fact, I did have a paper that I've tried to find it today and I couldn't. But he had got a paper with us all on it. And they put us down as, you know, these are the something girls. And it was Sophie Loren and all that. Each of us had got a different name, like. It was a newsletter that used to come out every so often, like, at the firm. And they come down and took this photograph of us. And, you know, they put it in the newsletter, like.
So did you have a lot of, was it kind of encouraged to have fun like that? And was it
Oh, yes. Now, I mean, this might seem a bit rude to you, really. But next to us, this is when I used to be dipping in the tub, but next to us used to be the coal print shop. Well, people used to bring stuff in the coal print shop, like, so as they clean because you used to have to clean these plates, you know, if they were doing a different pattern or something. So anybody who got cloths at home, they used to bring them and use them, like. Anyway, excuse me, this boss that we got, we actually been on a farm and he got this manager's job. And he was Harold, he was very shy and, you know, what have you. And the chap who was on the slicer, as they called it, that used to have, where I used to crank, it used to be a machine now that went round and you sat down and you cranked that road. That was another machine that was taken, and the men were taken off doing the flat dipping then. And this machine took over that, you know, another machine. Anyway, George, he found these little pants, that were in the, and he said to me, he said, you've got these pants, like, he says, I ain't put them on, and then we shout Harold. So I got these pants and I put them on and I put them down tree, you see, and I said to the boss, and Harold, come over here. I said, look what George has done to me. Well, he looked down and he was blood red, you know, and he goes, he says, oh dear Edith, he says, I'm sorry. He said, I'm going to have him in the office. No, this has gone beyond a joke, you know, and he was all worked up. And then, of course, you know, I said, it's all right, Harold, it's a joke, like, you know, and he goes, like that. We did little things like that, you know. Now, I come work one day, and we used to have some real fun. One day, I'd got off the bus and caught me stocking. Well, I got like all, and I said, just look what I'm blooming done coming work, like, you know. Of course, George found out that I got this hole in me, and he come, and he ripped completely tight from down below like that, you know. So I said, you thing, you. So I'd go and take my tights off, and there was a woman who sold them in the, you know, in the other warehouse, and I had to change me, things like that, you know, that you had a real bit of fun, clean fun. There was nothing, you know, as you can say, rude or anything like that, or did anything on you that you wouldn't like.
Where you worked, was it quite a female-dominated part of it?
Oh no, there's female and male there. I mean, when I first went there used to be the men dippers. They did all the flatware, and that went up on a what do you call them? Went round like on a dryer, and you just put the wear on, and then it moved up on to dry and dried that end, and somebody fetched it off the other end. No, they were all men there, and there was mostly women hollowware dippers, but the men used to do them, you know, the scallops and that. But of course, when these machines come in, they didn't need the men dipping, did they? So they were put on other jobs, or they had to finish, you know, because they were all piecework. Well, when you went on a day work job, then your money wasn't the same, was it? I mean, as long as you worked, I mean, Jimmy Parks had come sometimes and I was acting the fool, and you say to me, I hope you've done a decent count, you know, because I mean, but I wasn't greedy. I used to like earn a certain amount of money. You know, say it was £200 or what have you, just according what I'd done in the week, because you put it all down, you know, on your sheet. And I used to think, well, that's enough. So probably for an hour, we'd fool around, you know, and have a bit of fun, or go to the toilets and have a cigarette, or anything like that, you know. But he didn't mind as long as you did your count. But as I say, the men went off then. It was more or less just the women that did the Holloway like.
And what kind of a relationship did you have with the other women in the workplace?
Oh, all right. It's sometimes you could get somebody that didn't like it if you were sort of on somewhere, you know, and you could really earn your money on. You didn't have to. You could go a little bit slower, and you didn't have to sort of rush on things. You know, they'd be a little bit envious of you, like. But there was never any falling out where you were fighting, or you know, or sort of having words with one another. No, it was. I quite enjoyed going to work. You know what I mean? It was the people were so nice. You know.
Was it? Did you find it a supportive environment then? Were your colleagues? Would they help you if you needed some help at work?
Oh yeah. You know, I mean, if you saw anybody and they were mauling, you'd say, "Hang on, I'll come over," and you'd lift it up for them, lift it up with them. You know what I mean? No, I can't say as you'd say, "Oh, let him struggle," if you know what I mean. Oh no, you know, they're pretty good like that. I can't say as we ever had him, you know, misled as such.
Did you ever feel in any way that because you were a woman that you were treated differently at all at work by men in particular? Did you ever feel any form of discrimination, or did everybody just get on?
No, not really, no. We, I mean, if anything, we're all always all right, because they'd be earning their money and you'd be earning, because I mean, biggest part of you are piecework, you know what I mean? And you got work. If you didn't work, then you got no money, had you? You know. But on a day job, you can please yourself, you know what I mean? Like, where you're sort of doing this when you, because the more you're working, the more money you got, didn't you? I mean, I tailed getting more money than my husband, and he was working outside a joiner, you know what I mean? But it's just according what way you had, you see. Holloway was more money.
Do you think it kind of was a positive thing, women doing the piece work? Do you think it was positive for them, helping them to, in some cases, earn more money than the men? Was that a good thing?
Well, how can I put it? I mean, myself, I mean, we used to have a labourer, and he picked your work up and put it onto your you know what. I always used to think they ought to add a percentage of what you did, but they didn't. They were on day wage, and that no matter what they did, you know, how much lifting they did or how hard you work, you know, were working, they still got keep putting your stuff on, but they never got any more money. I did in a way, you know, because the day wage wasn't what you could sort of, you know, fantastic wage. I mean, I probably earned nearly twice as much as him, but he's had to work, putting my work on, you know what I mean? I mean, I used to say, not everybody did it, but I used to say to him sometimes, go get lost for a quarter of an hour, like, you know, and I'd put some of my own work on, because I used to feel sorry for him, you know, because I used to work really hard.
Fantastic. How did, in the times, in the 28 years or whatever you were working, how did kind of the work in the pottery factories, how did it change in those 28 years, do you think?
Oh, it changed drastically. I mean, you didn't do the mauling like you did when, you know, when I used to have to lift work, I mean, teapots and you know, a dozen and a half milk jugs down onto the ground. I mean, you were down here, working up, you know, like that sort of thing. So you were down on your knees, you know, down here sort of thing. Well, it was none of that, was it, when we got the machines? Because all as you did is stand here, your machine was here, your tub was here. You know, you put your work in there, you know, and do it and just put it on there. What's it? And because that was moving all the while, slow like. And more or less, you put about 4 on. But if you were on the lids and things like that, well, you could put a lot more on, like, you know. Oh, yes, well, it was like the places, they didn't have to get the trucks, fetch the trucks over, the men and whatever, because the men did the placing. Well, with them, they'd sort of, these were like on boards, like big square boards like that, and the girls would fill them up, obviously, after they cleaned them up, and all as they got to do was pick them out and just place them on the, you know, because I mean, as I say, they like that, ain't it? You know, the kell trucks. And all they got to do then is do that. That was easy for them. Where before, they got to have a wooden, you know, board, and they used to bring it up as they did each one, and clean them off. They got like a piece of flannel, as they called it. They got clean it off like, and then when it was a bit caked up, they got put their hands in water and rinse. Well, they got none of that, had they? Because the women used to do it our end, you know what I mean? They were what we call the taker off, you know, and they took the work off. And as I say, it went a lot easier. When they brought them, what's it in, it was a lot better machinery. But as I say, it took a lot of work out of some people, didn't it? You know, the places and that like that have been there for years. And dippers, you know, they didn't need as many, did they? But they'd find them jobs somewhere else, but obviously the money dropped, didn't it? You know, they'd find them other jobs.
Being part of the pottery factory, did you consider yourself to be working in a creative industry, in a creative role? Did you think that people involved were creative? Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you went and you saw them when they were sort of hand painting and all that, you know, it was really interesting. But I always said, I mean, I don't suppose I should say this, but I mean, we used to do a lot of Germany and, you know, a lot of broad work and sort of China and that. Well, we used to get the people that used to come on, you know, Chinese people used to come on and used to watch, used to go all through the whole building. And I always said, I don't suppose I should say this, but I always said that you watch, I said later on, because they hadn't used to produce then, as they'd be producing their work that we did, you know, we did sort of, they'd learn and do it, which they did. And their stuff was a lot cheaper than ours. So that didn't help, you know what I mean?
And being kind of part of this industry, and it clearly meant a lot to you, was it something that you were proud to be a part of?
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, you could see what you produced at the end of it, you know what I mean? I mean, like, you know, you work, you could go down, you know, in the morning, like, you know, if you'd done scallops and things like that, you could go down and look at your work, you know. I mean, sometimes you probably, if you got a run back, you were told off about it because, you know, you shouldn't have any run backs, you know, coming down on your glaze. You go down and look at your work. I mean, when you think you'd done it from biscuits and it had come out and it was just ready for, you know. Oh yeah, I used to think it was good.
Something to be proud of.
Yeah, because I mean, when like, same as I'm saying, the cold print that used to go in the kilns then, and then they brought it out because it'd been fired onto the ware then. We used to do a lot of that work as well. You know what I mean?
And is there anything in particular that you kind of miss about working in the pottery industry? When you look back on your life working, what do you kind of miss about it?
Has it got to be the pots or the fun or what?
Well, just the whole kind of thing, basically. It could be anything that's related to work, so having a laugh or meeting new friends or being a part of the process, anything like that? What, is there anything
Oh,
you particularly miss about it?
Well, I do because, like saying if it was somebody's birthday, and you know, the girls as we worked with and what have you, you say to me, birthday, we'll go up to the pub, which used to be the Ivy House. We'll go up there and have a, don't get me wrong, you know, you just had a couple of drinks in your hour, like, you know, and cook, because you had an hour then, and then it dropped to half an hour for the, because you know, you finished on Friday dinner time instead of working till 5 Friday night. So you'd cut it on your dinner hour, like. Or else before, when I first worked on there, when you had your hour, I mean, I used to go into Hanley to do my bit of shopping, you know, what I wanted for tea and what have you. And I'd walk up into Hanley and I'd be eating my dinner coming down, you know, back to the factory. I mean, it was, you know, it was hard work, but I enjoyed it. And as I say, the people you worked with, you know, you always had a bit of a fun, you know. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I really miss having that fun as we used to have, like, you know. And if you said, going back to it, it was hard work, really was hard work, that I think I'd think twice about going back on a pot bank, because, you know, my fingers have, you know, that's where I hold in the cups and, you know, trouble with my neck. But it's all, as I say, it's part of your job, isn't it? Wear and tear I've got now, as they call it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, really did.
Fantastic. I think that's brilliant, Edith. Thank you so much for sharing some of your experiences with us.
Oh, it's
That's
a pleasure. But
everything. Now, do mind your head when you stand.